These are the people that are going to be watching my speech today. In Indiana, Jenny Rinvins writes that a school bus was tipped over and a few children on the bus were injured. People now think that seatbelts should be a requirement on buses. Little do they know that if the children were strapped in and the bus tipped over, the children would be stuck upside down. The children have practiced their whole lives for this moment, and they know the evacuation plan to do properly. This topic has been relevant to all of you at some point in time because you've either had family or friends that have rode the bus. This topic has always made me very curious as a child because I never knew why I didn't have to wear a seatbelt on the bus. I would always ask people why we never had to wear seatbelts on the bus. No one ever seemed to know the reason. This is what led me to research this topic. Seatbelts will not allow children to be safer on the buses. They will actually cause for more problems and more problems for the bus driver. The first point I'm going to talk about is that if there were an accident and the children were strapped in, they could be trapped on the bus. The second point I'm going to talk about is that the seatbelts could be used as weapons. The third point I'm going to talk about is that the bus driver cannot maintain the children having the seatbelts on at all times. School buses are actually safer without seatbelts, so let's talk about how they could affect students from evacuating a bus in an emergency. The National Education Association website states, if the children all on the bus had seatbelts on and the bus was in an accident, the children may not be able to evacuate the bus. The bus was made really big for a reason, not just because they need to fit a lot of children on the bus. Since it's really big, if there was an accident to occur, the bus wouldn't have that much damage. Ann Stevenson from Family Education states, they are heavier and experience less crash force for a reason. The seats are also very padded and tall for a reason. If the students are sitting in their seats properly, then the seats will make a purpose to catch the children. That is why the seats are so tall on the buses, to make the children more safe. If there was an accident and a fire occurred on the bus and all the kids were strapped in, some of the little kids may not know how to undo their seatbelts. The bus driver doesn't have time to go around and undo every single seatbelt. If the children aren't buckled, then they can evacuate their seats properly, just like they have learned to do. Stevenson from their website Family Education talks about how more children are killed around school buses walking to and from school than actually inside the bus. Inside the school bus isn't the problem at all. So why spend more money on something that isn't even a huge issue right now? Children aren't getting hurt from not having seatbelts. Now that we talked about the emergency reasons like fires or accidents, let's talk about how seatbelts can be used as weapons to harm other children. Ann Stevenson from Family Education and the National Education Association states, children on the bus can use their seatbelts to harm other children. I know people think it's crazy that seatbelts could be used as a weapon. Everyone says, oh, but the children could use so many other things to harm each other. Well, why don't we just make the right choice and try to reduce the risk of other children getting hurt? If seatbelts are going to cause injuries and be used as weapons, then we don't need them on the bus because it's not a big issue at this moment. Let's not give the children the option to hurt other kids. The seatbelts could be used to choke other children. It may even be an accident. Two students could just be messing around on the bus and the seatbelt could get wrapped around one of their necks. It may be an accident, but it can happen. We all know how children can act now and all the crime that goes on in our world. We can't sit around and say a child wouldn't use the seatbelt to harm another children. The odds are that it could actually happen. Kids get mad very easily and fights do break out. Ann Stevenson from Family Education states, there is concern that seatbelts could be used as weapons to strike or choke other children on the bus. We don't think this will happen, but the minute we get seatbelts enforced, something like this will happen. Let's be realistic and think of the future and what could happen and try to stop it. We now know students can use seatbelts to harm other children. So let's talk about the last topic and the reason for not having seatbelts, crowd control. The National Education Association states that the bus driver won't be able to make sure that all children are strapped in the seatbelts at all times. The bus driver is in charge of over 50 children on the bus. If there were seatbelts, he would have to go back and make sure each child was buckled every time the bus stopped at a different spot. That would make the school time arrival be later because there would be more time on the bus. The bus driver wouldn't be able to deal with it because he is driving on a time limit. So he would not be able to make sure that all children are strapped in at all times. The National Education Association talks about how most school districts do not provide bus aides who can help with discipline and safety, except for special education buses. If seatbelts were needed on the bus, then they would need a bus aide on the bus to help maintain having seatbelts strapped in at all times on the children. The government doesn't want to have to pay for a bus aide and seatbelts because that is just way too much money for each bus. It is nearly impossible for one bus driver to watch over all 50 children and drive on the route at the same time. Having seatbelts would just cause more problems, and they aren't even making children more safe. Now that you know the reasoning behind the bus driver not being able to maintain the seatbelts, let's touch up on all the main points one more time. Seatbelts will not allow children to be safer on the bus. They will actually just cause for more problems and more problems for the bus driver. The first point is if the children on the bus all had seatbelts on and the bus was in an accident, the children may be trapped. The second point is that children on the bus can use their seatbelts to harm other children. The last point was the bus driver won't be capable to watch all children and make sure that they have their seatbelts properly fastened at all times. I hope now you'll rethink that having seatbelts on a bus will be safer. In all reality, it is just going to cause for more problems on buses.